Hi everyone, welcome back to Atrium Research's YouTube channel. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Lew Lawrick, the President, CEO, and Director of Magna Terra Minerals, which trades on the TSXV under the symbol MTT. We currently cover Magna Terra with research and have a buy rating and 30 cents per share target price on the company. Lew, great to have you here today.
Thanks, man. Great to be here with you.
So, with that said, I'm going to leave it to you to walk us through the story and the presentation here, and then we can get into some questions and whatnot in the back half.
Sounds good. Assume everybody can see my screen and we're ready to go. Little backdrop on Magna Terra. We are a exploration focused company, specifically focused on both critical and precious metals exploration, predominantly in Atlantic Canada, specifically in the provinces of New Brunswick and Newfoundland. But we also have a large portfolio of projects in Santa Cruz, Argentina, which we will talk briefly about at the end of the presentation that have added some value to our company here recently. Forward-looking statements, as we are required in as a public company. I'm not going to read these, obviously, but we'll jump right into the presentation. As I said, we're exploration focused. What we do very, very well is we find what we call high value projects in the areas that we are focused. We've been located or focused on Atlantic Canada through Magna Terra and other companies that I've been involved with now for almost 20 years. That includes our technical expertise as well. So we feel we have a pretty significant knowledge base on the geology of the Atlantic provinces, and we believe they're highly underexplored and offer the opportunity for new discovery, both in base metals, critical metals, and obviously in precious metals as well. We focus on value. We're large shareholders in our own company, so our focus is to drive value to our shareholders. That's how we win as well. As I mentioned, we are focused not just in precious, but also looking at critical metals opportunities as well. So there's a diversified approach, and we've had success. We've had success. We've made discoveries. We've advanced projects in this domain. So we expect to do so again, and we do so using what I would call tried and true practices of geology, systematic exploration efforts. From grassroots all the way through to defining targets for the drill stage. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So our strategy really is it's really three or fourfold. We are very jurisdictionally focused. Having had experience all over the world in this industry, one of the things that I appreciate is we want to be in places where we are supported not only by governments in terms of permitting opportunities, but there's supporting infrastructure, supporting workforce. But most importantly is you've got the geology necessary to make discoveries. So you put that all together, that is, where we're focused. It's one of the reasons why we're in Atlantic Canada. Everything that we look for is available to us in Atlantic Canada. Excellent geology, underexplored, as I mentioned. We've got expertise. These are historic mining communities, and you've got infrastructure at your back door, and very, very supportive, not only local but municipal, but also provincial governments as well, in both Newfoundland and New Brunswick. They're both highly ranked in terms of the Fraser Institute from a perspective of mining and mining exploration. We've got a very proven team. Specific focus in our group is on the technical expertise. you can't do exploration, obviously, without having a background or significant exploration expertise. And you can see this. I won't go into each one of our partners' bios, but you can see this in our group that we lean heavily on geologic expertise, not only at the board level, but also within, our primary advisors and consulting geologists. One of the things that's helped us during downtimes in this market, as you all know, it's very cyclical industry, especially in the microcap area where we live, junior mining, is, there are times in the market when it's tough to raise cash. We have been able to manage through these difficult periods by leveraging our, very deep and very strong portfolio. And how we've done this is we've brought in project partners, which has generated, cash from what we would, define as our non-core assets. And this is this slide is an example of that. From 2020, give or take, to 2025, we've generated almost $5 million in cash, from our non-core properties, through partnerships, options, what have you. 2024 alone was almost $1.8 million. This year, almost $3.4 million. Next year, we're looking at $5.3 million. And going forward into 27 through 29, right now, we have identified another just about $1.7 million in cash and marketable securities that will accrue to us through these partnerships. Pretty strong statement, and what that does for us, obviously, is it mitigates our requirement to go raise cash and dilute shareholders, dilute ourselves as shareholders. So we have a strong, call it funding mechanism here to draw upon, which supports our flagship assets. And speaking about a little bit about the company and its current market capitalization, share structure, and so forth. We have about 108 million shares outstanding, a few options that are now in the money. Share price is currently 15 to 16 cents, representing about a $16 million market cap. And by every way you want to look at us, that really undervalues us from what I would say from a sum of the parts perspective. But we expect that re-rating that we have been achieving over the last few months will continue, and our share price will continue to move higher as investors realize the opportunity within the company. We have a significant strategic investor in Michael Gentile. He owns about 17% of the company. Very important to make note of Michael. He is I would call him a serial investor in the junior mining space. Has been very, very successful, and we're very happy to have him on our share register. He's a big believer in what we're doing. We're, as management and insiders of the company, directors, we are also significant owners, which I think is important, which demonstrates our alignment, I guess you'd say, with shareholders, in the sense that obviously if the company does well, we do well, our shareholders do well. I'm going to speak a little bit about our exploration portfolio, focus specifically on our two flagship assets in Atlantic Canada, Newfoundland and in New Brunswick. So we'll jump right into that right now. As I mentioned off the top, we're focused in Atlantic Canada, and we also have projects in Santa Cruz, Argentina. Obviously the reasons in Atlantic Canada I've already explained. We've got experience there. They're considered premier jurisdictions from a risk perspective. We have 4 projects in Atlantic Canada: the Humber Copper Cobalt project in Western Newfoundland, the Brook project in northern New Brunswick, the Cape Spencer Gold project in southern New Brunswick, and the Great Northern and Viking project in western Newfoundland that is under option to Gold Hunter Resources Inc. I'm going to speak for the most part about the Humber Copper project in western Newfoundland and the Brook project in northern New Brunswick. This is a just slide just shows you in Atlantic Canada where we are. The red stars delineate our projects, as you can see, and you can also see the gold stars are other either mines, either in production or development or at an advanced stage. If you flash back 15 years, there's very few gold stars on this map, which I think is one of the reasons why we're very we focused on this region for the last 15 or 20 years. We believe it's underexplored, and there's numerous more discoveries to be made. One of the projects that I want to highlight is Goldboro. That is owned by Next Gold, formerly Signal Gold. We were the principals of Signal Gold. I founded Signal Gold in 2007. Our technical people had advanced Goldboro from when we acquired it from about 800,000 ounce inferred resource to where it stands today at over 3 million ounces, and now fully permitted, and a development decision to be made this year. They've just raised $110 million in an equity financing, and they have a letter of credit from Appian Capital for $175 million. So moving that project forward to be built. And that, as I said, is something that we were principally involved with over the last several years. So we've got, and the reason I mention that is to demonstrate that we have significant experience in this region, not only finding, advancing, but also advancing projects through the permitting stage as well. So we'll jump right into our first exploration project in Western Newfoundland. It's called the Humber Cobalt Project. I'll just jump back to the last slide. It's here on the western, near the Corner Brook area of Western Newfoundland. Why we have picked this project is our geological staff did a lot of research and basically evaluating lake sediment data. Regional lake sediment data. And the interesting thing about this vast area of Western Newfoundland, and it's never really been explored for base critical metals or precious metals at all. It's mostly been an area that's been forested, which has been helpful to us because obviously once you have there's forestry operations, it clears some of the land. It's easier for us to do exploration work, but the key about this project is we've acquired this. It's 50,000 hectares. We've acquired it fully through staking. It's basically the cheapest way you can acquire a project. There's no underlying royalties, no underlying option payments. We have a first mover opportunity here. We've recognized the opportunity that this presents to possibly host sediment hosted copper cobalt mineralization. The environment, the geology is set up to do so. I'll speak to that a little bit more. We've got in there. We staked it in 2024, added some ground here in 2025, and we did a first pass exploration program this past spring and summer. What is interesting about Humber is the underlying geology. As I mentioned, it shows everything you need to see to be potentially host sediment stratiform copper and cobalt deposits. What we see here is just the underlying geology and the other nearby deposits. The A to A here just showing the underlying geology from the coast ophiolite deposits or geology to the Hughes Lake block at the eastern edge of our claim boundary. And again, it shows you the underlying geology that we believe is perfect for hosting SSC deposits. Going to jump down to that Hughes Lake block because that's where we spent a lot of our time this past spring, summer, in terms of our initial exploration efforts. This is defined as an 8-kilometer long zone of anomalous copper and cobalt in soils. Second day on the project, we made a walk on discovery right here where the red star is in outcrop, so at surface. And we've been able to extend this surface discovery now. It's now over 2 kilometers, and it looks like it can extend at surface for an additional 1.7 kilometers. This is very exciting because obviously, a surface expression of this type bodes well for the potential of a large system underlying it. So we've continued to map it. We've done a geochemical survey over top. As I said, we've extended the strike length here, and we see in the geophysical footprint that it could extend an additional 1.7 kilometers. This just again is zooming in on that discovery area. We collected soils over 2.2 over the 2.2 kilometer strike length, and as we see, it is open to the west southwest, and we'll be back in here probably in the spring to further follow up with further soils. We started a program of stream sediment sampling. We got about halfway through before the snow hit about a week ago, and we'll have some of those results coming within the next few weeks. But this is a very exciting project for us. As I said, it's a walk-up discovery, 50,000 hectares, showing, in the expanded property area. This discovery itself lends us to believe that we've got something very, very interesting at Humber. Just as a little picture here of the native copper we see in the discovery outcrops that we've been able to map now over 2 kilometers. Seeing this kind of mineralization at surface is very exciting. I'm now going to jump to the Rocky Brook project. If you can see, it's a very small map. If you can see the inlay here, this is the map of New Brunswick. So the red square represents where in New Brunswick. Again, that's up in the northern part of New Brunswick, which is basically the famed Bathurst camp in northern New Brunswick, which is where our Rocky Brook project is located. In looking at this map right now, the different colors, I'll just go through that quickly. The orangey yellow outlay right here, that is our original footprint. Includes the Boudreaux Brook and Restigouche claims that we originally optioned, and we added this area here, which is interesting because it's in an area that is prospective not only for critical metals but also recently there's been gold prospectivity as defined by the Puma-Kinross discovery just to the southeast, and we've recently staked this pink area here, representing an extension of that what I would call prospective gold ground to the north of the Rocky Brook Millstream fault there. We believe this has significant upside for precious metals discovery. So that's really our outline here. It's almost 30,000 hectares right in the heart of the camp. We have exposure both to the VMS style mineralization that the Bathurst camp is known for throughout its long history of mining, both at Caribou, and the number of mines that, for 70 or 80 years that have been in production there. We're quite keen on this because two things I think is really important to point out. Canadian Copper is about to acquire the old Caribou mill infrastructure, and they are going to develop their Murray Brook deposit and effectively mill it at Caribou. And we have the adjoining ground to the Murray Brook ground, Murray Brook South ground, and also the old Restigouche deposit. We have that. So we have significant exposure to what they're doing. And then if you look to the north here in the holdings we have here, we're effectively on strike with Puma Kinross's gold discovery here at Williamsbrook, and as it extends along this fault structure up to the northwest, or northeast rather. So we have exposure to both horizons here, both the precious metal horizon and the VMS horizon. And this camp is really seeing a renewed vigor in terms of what's going on and the interest in it with both of these things moving forward. Again, I talked about exposure to both the VMS and the gold prospectivity in the camp. This slide outlines in these red blobs what we have identified through our work, not only in terms of our on-the-ground exploration, but also our data compilation of all the regional data and some work we've done using artificial intelligence target generation. We have identified all of these targets for follow-up drilling. And again, as you can see, they trend along the south of the fault structure there. So very early stage here, but there's numerous opportunities for discovery on the VMS side. And the key here is we're very close. This is all within proximity to that Caribou infrastructure. So anything that's discovered here, can and will go into the potential mining opportunity that Canadian Copper is advancing, utilizing the Caribou infrastructure. Just going to jump ahead. Again, this is some from the work we did this summer in terms of soils and rock sampling. We did advanced soils across a broad swath of the property. As you can see here, we're seeing everything we need to see in outcrop and in rock samples with regards to VMS type mineralization. This area is very prolific and has been. There's no reason to think that there won't be another mine discovered here. So just jumping along to speak as well about the gold potential, which is, again, as I've shown you in those previous slides, to the north, and it's along this rocky Brook Millstream fault system, and we now have in our property holdings basically a 30+ kilometer extent of this fault structure that is a major control for gold mineralization, in this part of the camp. Recently, and from this year's work, the prospector we've optioned this from in 2023, there's been numerous samples taken along this fault structure, anomalous for gold, a 5.23 grams, this year we had grabs up to 2.8 grams over a wide area, almost 400 meters of strike. We'll be back in there. We've completed a trenching program here as well. Assays are pending. We'll have that news coming here within the next several weeks. Excited to see what that brings us. And the key thing here is that it's a long strike, as mentioned, from the John Paul gold discovery or occurrence that was made by Puma Kinross, and that they're advancing significantly. They're actually drilling. I think they're in the middle of a 3,000 meter drill program on their project, and it's also adjacent to the Mulligan project, which is owned by Gold Terra Resources, that has had some significant gold intercepts at surface as well. So this whole region is becoming interesting and is very anomalous for gold deposition, and something we've obviously positioned ourselves well to participate in.
And Lou, just staying on that slide, how far is that Puma drilling going from your property?
It's about 14 kilometers away as the crow
Okay.
flies, but a long strike along that fault structure.
Right. Okay.
And they're stepping out from what I gather from their press releases, they're stepping out in decent jumps, 100 200 meter step outs along that
Hmm.
geologic control.
Great.
So this just shows that's our friend Tim Lavoie, who we've optioned the project from, who he actually does some work for us. He's a prospector, very well known, well regarded prospector in this part of New Brunswick. I think he's been Prospector of the Year 5 of the last 6 years. This is a very interesting picture. You can see in terms of the rusty colored rocks, the alteration that is very much present, in subsurface when you open this up. There's not much till cover, so it's pretty available. But this is where that 5 gram sample was came from in the work that Tim did back in 2023. So now I'm just going to jump into our two other projects briefly in Atlantic Canada. I'm going to speak to the Great Northern Project, which is in Western Newfoundland, really west central Newfoundland. We optioned this project last year, 2024, to a company called Gold Hunter Resources, which is listed on the CSE, and it's a $9.5 million option agreement payable over 2 years. We're now effectively into year two. Final payment is due to us in June of this year, and as I mentioned, it's approximately $4.4 million, $4.5 million in cash and marketable securities. In terms of the payments already made, $450,000 cash was paid to us in June of last year, as well as almost $2.8 million in Gold Hunter shares, which those shares make us the largest shareholder in Gold Hunter. Currently, we hold just under 40 million shares and approximately almost 30% of the company. So any success that Gold Hunter has at Great Northern will be translated directly to us in terms of our share ownership position. This is a very interesting project. It's very analogous to the Valentine Lake Camp. I'll explain that in the next slide, but same geology. It's on a splay off of that main shear zone. It's called the Deucers Valley Fault. The majority of this project lies along. They've taken our 14,000 hectare package and consolidated it to a larger, it's 26,000 hectares, controlling much of that fault structure, and there's a current resource on it. And multiple targets. There's over 40 kilometers of cumulative strike potential along this, not only the main fault structure, but numerous fault splays that have also demonstrated that they are control features for gold deposition. So Gold Hunter's plans, they're in the middle of effectively marketing a financing. Their plans are to drill up to 10,000 meters starting this winter, starting early 2026. So it's a significant catalyst, obviously, for them, but it will be as well for us. As I said, any success they have in this program we'll obviously get the benefit of as a significant shareholder. And I just wanted to touch on this, and this is one of the reasons why this is such an exciting project. Is it's it's almost a dead ringer for the Valentine Lake or Valentine Gold project that is now owned by Equinox, formerly Calibre, formerly Marathon. And I will say that our senior consulting geologist Tanya Tedelar was principally involved in advancing Valentine Lake from the discovery stage through to resource development. She was the primary project geologist on that project as it moved from 400,000 ounces to over 3 million ounces. So we've got experience in this geological domain. We outsource our technical team to Gold Hunter, so they're using us to advance this project. We manage and execute their exploration programs, and it comes to our benefit in the form of an administrative fee. But what we see here is the geology is a dead ringer. The deposits are found along these major fault structures, and the fault splays off them. Same age rocks. There's, as I say, this is they're dead ringers for each other. So we have every reason to believe that Gold Hunter is going to have success once they undertake their drill program. So we're excited to see this go ahead here in 2026. And lastly, we'll talk very briefly about Cape Spencer. It's in southern New Brunswick, just down, off the Bay of Fundy. What's really important here to note is, again, this is an area of New Brunswick that up until recently was not looked at very, very closely, but the success of Galway Minerals metals advancing Clarence Stream, which is currently about a 2.2 million ounce resource. They will be updating their resource sometime in early 2026, and by all intents and purposes, it's going to be well over 3 million ounces. Again, much like the example I showed you in the previous page, these major with regards to Newfoundland, it's the same geologic features in southern New Brunswick that control these major gold deposits. This area is highly underexplored. Cape Spencer's approximately 150,000 ounces in historic resource. It's available for option or purchase. We've had numerous companies in the data room, several CAs signed. I fully expect in the near term that we will probably monetize this project. It's not that we don't like it. We like it a lot. It's just to advance it, it needs significant drilling, $5 million of drill program. And at a $15 million market cap, that's not dilution that we think is to our benefit at this point. And we think by putting it in the hands of someone else and participating through their capital structure, we can get the best benefit of it, which is what we've done at Great Northern and what we've done in our projects in Argentina. I'll just jump to Argentina quickly before we close. We have held on to this portfolio now for well over 10 years. It has basically been self-funding through option agreements we've had, specifically on the Boleadora project with Newmont, the owner-operator of Cerro Negro. We took the project back from Newmont, Boleadora back from Newmont in 2025, and it is now also available for option. We have just optioned Luna Roja to a company called Andean Metals. It's about $2.4 million in cash and stock payable to us over 4 years. We also have 7 other projects, as you can see by the projects in blue here, that are all located near significant mining operations, which I think is very important. And I think again, we've got significant interest. Argentina has become a very there's been a lot of renewed interest in Argentina in the last 12 months as a place for mining investment. This area of Argentina, Santa Cruz province, specifically here in the Deseado Massif, is really the gold province. It's where all the major gold projects are located. As you can see, Cerro Moro, Cerro Vanguardia, Cerro Negro, San Jose. I think, again, we've got parties looking at these projects. I think, in the fullness of time here, we will generate further opportunities for monetization on one or more of these projects, in the coming weeks and months. So just to wrap, why invest in Magna Terra? We've got obviously a high quality and deep portfolio that we're advancing ourselves and with partners. We've been able to generate cash and underlying marketable securities and royalties through monetizing some of the, what I would call our second order or non-core projects. We've got in the areas, in the geological domains where we operate, we've got proven expertise. We've made discoveries. We've advanced projects. We've been there a long time, so we feel that we have added value to be able to do that again. very tight share structure led by Mike Gentile, who's probably one of the most astute mining investors, in our business, which bodes well for us. And we focus on district scale projects in jurisdictions that you can advance, that are accessible with good infrastructure, etc. And currently, based on a sum of the parts basis, we're still, even though we've had a nice run in our stock price over the last few months, we still believe we're highly undervalued, as would be attested to by Atrium's target price, which is 30 cents, which is 100% premium to where we're trading today. So going forward in 26, we've got catalysts coming on 4 projects, 2 we are advancing ourselves, and 2 that are being advanced by partners. Thank you.
Amazing. Well, thank you for that, Lou. You went through a lot of stuff for us, a lot to digest, but painted a pretty solid picture. And I think I just wanted to, while it's in my head, get out that I think shareholders can be quite confident in buying stock in a company that, yes, maybe you haven't found this massive discovery, and you're pumping all this money into one particular asset, but while you are looking for that, you are doing it in a cost-effective manner, not just from you actually being frugal with your expenses, but the way that you're accessing capital to deploy into those projects is also efficient in the project generation. The money that you've been able to bring in over the last few years and what is expected over the next couple years is massive when you're looking at a small company. If you had raised the 5 million plus in equity, you would have much more shares outstanding considering where the stock price was last year, right? You'd probably have double the amount of shares outstanding. So that's one thing I wanted to just point out. Now, I wanted you to just talk about quickly the methodology around staking projects in a very cost-effective way, essentially the most cost-effective way to acquire assets,
Mm-hmm.
how you go about that process, and then the steps further developing those into exploration assets, the steps that you take to cost-effectively, determine whether you want to hang on to that project or ultimately option it off for some potential revenue in the future.
No, absolutely. So, obviously, we're of the view that from a standpoint of where you create the most shareholder value is at the discovery stage, right? I mean, we've all heard of the Lassonde curve, and we can go on and on about sort of how that works, but obviously the cheaper you can do things, the more leverage you generate. So staking is obviously the easiest thing to do. It's the most cost-effective thing to do, but you don't just go stake willy-nilly. So we have, as I said, we're deep technically. We've got significant experience in obviously in Atlantic Canada. We've been there almost 20 years. Our team. There's a lot of regional data. This is the one thing that both governments have done very, very well through their Department of Natural Resources and so forth. Is they've done a great job of compiling regional data and making it available to the public. So we mine this data. We are looking at it all the time. We've actually just brought on an individual who has developed machine learning models to be able to expedite the evaluation of this data, and doing that versus trying to do that on traditionally using supercomputing to be able to rank and organize data has been very, very helpful for us in terms of developing targets. It's one of the things that I think gives us a little bit of an advantage. It's also the fact that we've got all this data at our, we've compiled it and we have it. So that's number one. And then it's identifying the opportunity, not only staking, looking at it, but getting on the ground. And that's one thing, again, we've spent a lot of time in these provinces. So we kind of understand and appreciate the geology, and that helps. In terms of moving them forward, we're very systematic in our approach. We believe in building the layers of data before you spend the real money. So doing the ground truthing, soils, stream sets, rocks, trenching, you name it. Building those data layers, layering on geophysics as required, just building those data, and then you're able to develop targets. And that's for us where we sort of that's the inflection point. Once we develop those targets, it's okay. Are we going to do this? Are we going to raise, X amount of dollars to go test these targets ourselves, or is at this point that we're going to bring in, a partner? And it really comes down to what the capital decision is. And I would be remiss if I said that we would have pursued Great Northern ourselves, but we had a $3 million market cap. Today we have a $15 million market cap. Would I go out and raise $3 million, $4 million to drill to pursue the Great Northern opportunity ourselves if it was still ours? Probably, because it's changed. Our cost of capital has changed. So really what it comes down to in all of this is we look at the targets and we look at our cost of capital. If our cost of capital is too high to really advance these projects to our benefit without diluting our shareholders significantly, we'll bring in a partner. But if we can see a manageable route through an efficient cost of capital, we'll do it ourselves, because if we make the discovery, we are going to get the best benefit. So it's kind of threading that needle, I guess you'd say. Mm-hmm. But the cost of capital decision is the big inflection point.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you do derive, by the time you are at a point where you can start drilling, that's when the cost to continue exploring also increases significantly, right? So you've built up the story enough to a point where someone that wants to partner with you or option off the property, they have enough data. They have some data that they can actually work with to determine if they themselves also want to, take a piece and advance it. So I think that makes sense. And certainly, again, right, it gives shareholders confidence that you're not going to go down some path diluting, only for, their shares to be worth a quarter of what they were 3 years earlier, right? So, and a big part of that, and we can touch on this now, is because you guys own, I think you mentioned management is management and insiders is at about 13%, which is
13 to 17%, depending on who you include in there, right? If you include our consulting geologists and so forth, it'd be more of the higher end of it. But yeah, no, we think as owners, which I think is very important.
Yeah. And John Tilley being a big piece with 17% or so, he also isn't of the interest in by being diluted down to nothing. I imagine he's involved in some of those conversations as well.
Yeah, I can say right now, one of the reasons Michael invested in the company is he really appreciated our approach to managing dilution and mitigating, unnecessary dilution and utilizing alternative strategies to advance our projects. So that's certainly that's one of the if you had asked him that'd be one of the answers he'd give you. Like, he respects very much how we've been able to do this and still advance the company, advance projects, build a portfolio, etc.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have been rewarded via the share price over the last couple of years. I think there's probably very few companies that were 3-4 million market cap 2 years ago that are where you guys are today, because they probably destroyed their cap structure. They took any money they could get to continue advancing, but maybe they weren't as responsible with their cash. Just quickly, you spoke about the expertise in Atlantic Canada. Can you just touch on how, some things that you guys have learned from Signal Gold, previously Anaconda, now to Next Gold, through your own personal experience as well as the other people involved on the team? And just, you mentioned that there's lots of sort of blue sky opportunity in that region because there hasn't been a ton of investment into those provinces over the last number of years up until more recently.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I think that's the main thing. I think the geology's always been recognized as being, you know, incredibly interesting, but it's also incredibly, uh, I'm not going to say difficult. You're in a very chopped up structural domain. I mean, the major fault structures literally run from sort of Greenland, Ireland, all the way down through the Atlantic provinces down to the Carolinas. That the major structures that control these the deposition of these opportunities. Um, so it's Newfoundland, for example, for years and years and years, it was suspected, oh, you'll never find a 3 million ounce deposit. Well, that's kind of been proven incorrect, obviously, with Valentine Lake. It's not one deposit that's 3 million ounces. It's a string, these orogenic deposits that you find for the most part along these major structures in the Appalachian Belt. It's a string of deposits, 500, 700 million ounces, but there's multiple of them along strike. And, for example, Equinox's Valentine, I mean, there's going to be more ounces found there. I mean, they're just starting, right? And so that has been the template that has kind of shown people that the geology is there, it hosts these things. And, obviously with newfound gold, with what's going on with Firefly, that high grade VMS system that they're into in the Bay Verte region where we were forever with Anaconda.
Yep.
Um, so all of these things, it all comes back to lack of funding. Now that money has come in and exploration has advanced and been funded, discoveries are being made. It's as simple as
Hmm.
that. It's just
Hmm.
fun. And
Well,
now that there's and then it's a typical how would you say success breeds success. Now that there's been success, there's more companies in, there's more exploration money, so that's one side. The other side of it is the governments, Newfoundland in particular, where we have the most experience, have been tremendously supportive. Obviously, the fishery has suffered, the offshore oil and gas industry has suffered. So, in terms of maintaining a revenue base and economy, they've turned inward and said, "Look, we've got an opportunity here from a geological perspective, to develop these mining and mining exploration opportunities." And they've been very supportive, permitting, funding, you name it. So it goes hand in hand. Without the jurisdictional, how would I call it, support, you're not going to bring in the investment, right?
yeah.
And so and that's kind of what's happened. And now, as I said, we're starting to see that same thing happen in New Brunswick,
Hmm.
starting to see it happen in Nova Scotia. So it's a very exciting time to be in the Atlantic region.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I covered Anaconda slash Signal, so I know the story, and I think, yeah, if they put a big giant drill program in, they're gonna find a bunch more eventually. So, um, with that, we are getting up to time here, Lou, but just to sort of summary, I like to take notes during these calls and put some things together, and I think just to cap off on my end, it's awesome to see a company get from where you were a couple of years ago, market cap, to where you are today. I still think, there's a lot more room to grow, but with the rising share price, like you said, the access to capital is that much greater. Now you can ramp up these exploration activities a little bit more than maybe previously, while also still having this portfolio of project generation, if you want to call it, that's bringing in capital, that has brought in capital, that's minimized shareholder dilution. Um, Notably, a lot of opportunity in Argentina with what we've seen politically and how much support the country is now getting, or providing to the mining industry. Ultimately, it sounds like there's, going to be plenty of opportunities for monetization of those assets as well. Um, Government support in Atlantic Canada, and then Rocky Brook and Humber that you went through in detail during the presentation. Lots of upside there, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do in 2026. So just with that on catalysts, things that investors can look forward to over the next year or so. Could you just give us a high level sort of overview of plans, when we can expect work to start in 2026 on some of those projects, and then we can wrap up here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've basically put aside some funds from our September financing, flow through financing, um, to do a small drill program potentially at Rocky Brook. So that's still something we're looking at. Subject to results coming back from the recent trenching program. What's interesting now is we've kind of got two targets there. We've got the VMS side and we've got the gold side. So it's like which one do you go after here? So definitely lots more work to come, including a potential drill program at Rocky Brook. We'll continue to do the systematic exploration at Humber, complete those stream sediments, layer that data with the geophysics we've done, develop targets, and we'll go in and do further ground truthing on those targets next spring, next summer, gearing up for a drill program probably in the late summer to a fall preliminary drill program, and probably focused on that discovery area that we've made. So that's on our two principal projects. Obviously, I mentioned at Great Northern with Gold Hunter, sorry. We're anticipating a successful raise and for them to drill, and it'll be the first significant focused drill program. Multiple targets, low hanging fruit. I'm quite excited about that. I mean, we've always liked that project, and again, we're still involved from a technical perspective, so we will be involved going forward as to how that plays out. So that comes. We get the payment from them in June. And then this and beyond that, it's the Andean guys are going to be drilling and advancing Luna Roja in Argentina, and they're going to be going public here in 2026, early 2026. So we're going to be in receipt of shares and payment from them. I will be on that board. So there's catalyst coming out of that project, and then it's just what we can do from a monetization perspective with not only Cape Spencer, but the balance of the Argentine portfolio. So there's lots of moving parts, meaning lots of potential catalysts.
Amazing. Great. Okay, well, I appreciate that. Thank you for walking myself as well as the viewers through the full story and all of the updates, as well as the business model, quite frankly. Certainly looking forward to what's to come in the new year. And for our followers, if you haven't seen our research on Magna Terra, you can find that all at atriumresearch.ca, and continue to follow along. And again, Lew, thanks for the time today.
Thank you, Ben. I really appreciate it.